Hi, this is Dan Sullivan, and today I'm going to be talking about energy. So I got a great question from Josh about that, and he also asked about metabolism, but I want to go into that next time because energy is such a big topic. And so I'll go over a couple main points about how to get more energy, how to get better energy, how to get more sustainable energy, because we all want better energy. We all want to feel better, right? So there's a ton of limiting factors that can hinder us from having proper energy throughout the day. And I want to touch on a couple big ones that I see a lot of times with clients. So number one is anemia. There's a couple different kinds of anemia out there, actually multiple different kinds, but basically B12 anemia and iron anemia are pretty common, pretty typical, and so those have a lot to do with the size of your red blood cells and the ability of your body to oxygenate itself, your entire body, your brain. And so when you're not getting proper iron, B12, and then some other things as well, your body is not going to be operating as efficiently and you're not going to be having that energy that you want. And so it's really important to be measuring those things, and I've talked briefly about blood work, or probably actually extensively about blood work in the past, and how important that is, and how it's great to get numbers on those things so you can see where you are. And so typically what will happen is to measure B12, you'll want to do a CBC, a complete blood count, and that's going to tell you the size of your red blood cells, and it will typically tell you if you're heading in the right direction or not. And so that's a really good one to do. It's a really cheap test as well. So that's a big one there. A lot of, in terms of iron, a lot of vegetarians and vegans definitely need to be cognizant of their iron levels and their ferritin levels, because I've seen too often that they're very, very low, especially women with their monthly cycle. They can be very, very low in iron and ferritin, and so that can definitely drain your energy. And I know, ladies, you probably feel that more than others, especially if you have heavy periods or so forth. You can definitely be feeling that low energy, that fatigue, among other things as well. So definitely want to be keeping those two in consideration, the iron and the B12. Blood sugar is another one that's a huge, huge issue. So a lot of people reach for that sugary snack or that sugary food, that caffeinated drink, hitting Starbucks at 2 or 3 p.m. Because of that mid-afternoon crash. However, blood sugar is a really critical aspect of energy, and so we want to make sure that our blood sugar is regulated, so not too high and also not too low. So eating a balanced meals, fats, proteins, and fibers all help to balance out and stabilize blood sugar over a long period of time. Instead of reaching for that snack or that coffee or that sugary snack, I should say, like a soda or even fruits just by themselves, for lots of people, they'll end up raising blood sugar and then having the blood sugar actually crash, because what happens is your body produces insulin in order to suck up that blood sugar and use it. However, the body usually overcompensates, and so when we have high sugar, like kids, they get all energized, they get a big sugar rush, and then they crash. That's pretty much what happens to us too. So it may not be that noticeable, but it's still happening, and that produces stress on the body. So when we go from that high to that crash, the body overcompensates, and so that surplus then results in a crash, and so we go into what's called hypoglycemia. Reactive hypoglycemia, and so the body will then produce cortisol in order to raise blood sugar back up. But as you probably know, cortisol is the body's stress hormone. So as you can see, over time, if you're constantly yo-yoing, your energy is going to be really all over the place, and so it's a vicious cycle, because you're going to be producing cortisol, and we've already have too much stress in our lives, right? So we want to be reducing that. We want to be stabilizing our blood sugar with those things like I mentioned before, like a healthy diet consisting of high quality proteins, lots of good healthy fats, lots of fiber and vegetables. So when you eat those types of foods, your blood sugar is going to be much more well regulated over the long term. So then you're going to be having better energy and more sustainable energy as well. So that's a really great thing to look forward to. So next, I want to talk about thyroid. So thyroid is this gland right in your throat here that's responsible for your metabolism or your basal metabolic rate. And so a lot of times people can definitely have problems with their thyroid, right? You've probably heard of Hashimoto's autoimmune thyroid, or hypothyroid, or Graves' disease, which is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where those people are going to be having probably too much energy. And so the thyroid is a critical player in your energy levels. And so a lot of times what people may not know is that the problem with the thyroid actually isn't the problem with the thyroid. Most of the time what I see is people have problems either converting thyroid hormone, metabolizing thyroid hormone, and so that actually is not a problem with the thyroid itself, but a problem with the liver, the gut, and periphery as well. And then having adequate nutrients in order to produce the thyroid hormone in the first place, and then also to convert it into the usable form. And then also it can be brain related as well, since the brain has to communicate with the thyroid to produce the thyroid in the first place, or to tell the thyroid to produce T4 in the first place. So that's another issue, and I've gone to conferences where the entire weekend, 3 days, has been devoted only to the thyroid. So to do it justice in a couple seconds here is ridiculous. But suffice it to say, the thyroid does have a major role, and when you're getting your thyroid checked, a lot of times practitioners will only test for TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, and so that is one of many thyroid markers that need to be addressed. So that just one marker is not going to cut it. So go to a practitioner that tests for the full spectrum. There's lots of numbers to test for with thyroid. So I'll just say that much. Lack of sleep is another huge player in your energy levels. So getting adequate sleep has a large role. Obviously, we've all had days where you get to bed late, you get to get up early, and your energy suffers the next day. And so it's really critical to be getting to bed at a decent hour, so our body produces a lot of growth hormone right in the middle of the night. And so when you're getting to bed super late, your body doesn't actually produce that much growth hormone, and it doesn't recover as well. So not only is the time that you're in bed important, that 7 or 8 hours or whatever your body needs. Some people need less than others. Some people are great on 6 hours or 8. Generally I take about 7.5 to 8 hours and I feel great. But either way, when you go to sleep, that whole duration, if you go to sleep at say 2 a.m. and sleep till 10, you're not going to feel as well rested the next day, as opposed to if you would have gone to bed at, let's say, like at 10, 10:30, even 11 o'clock, you're going to feel much, much better, because that kind of ties right into your circadian rhythm, which is that natural biological clock, which goes with the sun, and we're just meant to be waking and going to bed at certain times, roughly. And so I understand everybody has a preference for what time they like to go to bed, but just experiment with it. It's crazy, with electronics these days, we have the tendency to stay up and be on our phone or on the TV or on the computer, and so a lot of times that will keep you up as well. So trying to limit that time is going to be great. If you can do some journaling, do some relaxation techniques, what have you, or you're more than welcome to do, the iPhone has the night shift that you can do. That's an option that you can do where it will reduce the blue light that's emitted from your phone. Also, you can download a program called f.lux or Flux on your computer. They have it for Mac and for PC. It's free. And so what that does is that will also reduce the amount of blue light that's emitted. And so why is blue light important? Well, blue light can suppress your body's natural production of melatonin. So what happens is over time, over the course of a day, your melatonin should be lowest in the morning and highest at night. And so what happens is with blue light, that actually suppresses the melatonin, and so you can't go to sleep at night. So people will take exogenous melatonin in order to go to bed at night, and it's not really a good idea to be doing that long term, right? Because that can suppress your body's natural production of that hormone. So you definitely want to be reducing the amount of blue light, so you can use either the Night Shift app for the phone or the Flux for the computer, or you can even use blue blocking glasses, which kind of look pretty geeky, but they're effective as well for blocking blue light. So that's going to help with your energy levels, getting a better night's sleep, getting to sleep faster, and then also another key thing about sleep is getting the room as dark as possible. So that's really going to be helping your sleep quality. So let's say if you get 7 hours of sleep now and you might not feel rested, if you have better sleep hygiene, you get to bed easier, you get to sleep faster, you don't wake up as much at night, the room is darker, you're going to be feeling way more rested as a result of getting that same time of sleep. So it's the effectiveness or the efficiency of those 7 hours or of those 8 hours or whatever time you're in bed that's going to be really good for you. So the next one, I'll go over the last one here, is movement. So a lot of times, at our jobs, we're sitting for long periods of time, right? And so what I would recommend is at least about once every hour is to get up and do some sort of movement, even just walk around, anything. That's really going to contribute to better overall energy, better blood flow, oxygenation. And so when we sit for long periods of time, not only do we kind of tighten up our hip flexors and all kinds of stuff, but our minds too, and our energy sort of goes down. And so when we have activity and movement of some kind, your energy is going to be much, much better. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. It was just a couple tips. If you have any questions, please comment below. I'd be happy to answer those. And if you found this helpful, please share it. So thanks as always for your attention. I appreciate you.